is this section right here, this tab, the way the data is collected and then distributed. This project is addressing a major concern that I've been hearing, at least here in New York in the Northeast, which is okay. We understand where the OEMs are. We understand where they're moving. We understand what the technology is. The question they relay is, but what about the climate testing? How do I know that if I operate my fleet mostly in the Northeast and the Midwest, how do I know that it is going to be able to operate properly, during those winter months? How do I know that if it's out there and a snowstorm hits, it'll be able to make it back home? And it looks to me that this project is going to collect that data and make it available to any of those fleets, to allay those concerns. Welcome to Stream, a trucktractortrailer.com production. My name is Zach Miller. I'm your host, and I'm really excited about this. Something a little different for you today. I'm honored to be joined by both Mark Hill with CalSTART and Joy Gardner with Empire Clean Cities. So what we're going to be talking about today is a really interesting program that CalSTART has that Empire Clean Cities is helping with for medium and heavy duty fleets to increase their electrification and to really start incorporating these EVs into the fleet. CalSTART has really worked on collecting some outstanding data here about this, and I think this will allay some concerns that some of you fleet owners and operators have. And of course, in at least in New York, there is a call to action that we'll get to get more fleets involved in this program. So, Mark, Joy, thanks for joining us today. If you could just give a really quick introduction, and then we can get into the topics here.
Yeah, good afternoon. So my name is Mark Hill. I'm a technical project manager at CalSTART, working in the EV section or medium heavy duty EV section to get clean vehicles on the road.
Great. Hi, everybody. Thanks, Zach, for having me back. I'm Joy Gardner, the Executive Director of Empire Clean Cities. We are a clean transportation nonprofit located in downstate New York, and we're also the U.S. Department of Energy's designated Clean Cities Coalition for New York City and the Lower Hudson Valley. And our mission really is to reduce emissions in the transportation sector and cut petroleum consumption. So thanks again.
Yeah, absolutely. And this has been, I think since the bipartisan infrastructure bill, before it even became law, since it was just being talked about, incorporating EVs and zero and low emission vehicles and technologies into the transportation sector has been a big goal and a big mission here. And so, from then to now, we have seen a lot of both congressional bills being passed, being signed by the president, and of course some executive action as well. So Mark, let's talk a little bit about the DOE funded program here, what that project is, what it looks like, why it's important.
Yeah, certainly, Zach. If you don't mind, I have some slides to share, so I'll start sharing my screen. Just give me 1 second. Okay, yes, so the name of the project is the EV Data Collection Project. We're trying to go from the road to fleet electrification. So this project is going to help build out a data set to understand the performance of medium and heavy duty vehicles in the real world. Okay, CalSTART is a global organization transforming transportation for good. We have several offices in the US. Our main office is in Pasadena, and we have several regional offices, one in Michigan, New York as well, and Wisconsin. And then we also have a few satellite offices in Florida and Colorado, and also the Bay Area. So we are a global organization, so we do have agreements with other countries and are collaborating to all achieve the same effort of getting EV vehicles on the road. So we have over 300 members from our clean cities, such as Empire Clean Cities. We also work with manufacturers such as BYD, Danner, etc. So all of our members, they are part of our organization to collaborate, to share knowledge in the industry of how to get these vehicles to be in the hands of fleets, and so we could start having better and clean air in our environment. So let's move to what the medium and heavy duty project is. It's a 3-year project sponsored by the DOE to collect real world usage data from medium and heavy duty vehicles. The goal of the project is to bring all of these data sets together and publish this operational data on at least 200 vehicles from different climates, different use cases, and different types of chassis types. So this information is going to hopefully be used by researchers to further advance our knowledge of how best to deploy medium and heavy duty vehicles throughout the US and throughout the globe. So a diverse set of vehicles. Right now, that means transit buses, that's in our heavy duty sector. Also school buses, we have some of those on the road. Also Class 8 trucks, yard tractors, and our standard medium Class 6 box trucks. So for this project, we partner with several partners. UCR is one of our sub-recipients. They also help us do our data analysis on some of the fleets that we're collecting data for. Also, Tetra Tech and Geotab are some of our implementation partners, which helps provide telematic data loggers for the vehicles so we could actually obtain the data to analyze it. Our project sponsor is the DOE, and they work with the national labs. NREL is one, National Renewable Energy Laboratory, Oregon National Laboratory, and Idaho National Labs. They are the national lab advisors on the project. And as I discussed before, we're working with several clean cities, Kentucky Clean Fuels Coalition, Empire Clean Cities, Live Green Connecticut, and Drive Clean Colorado. So the goal of the project is to form a single publicly accessible database, which is anonymized for each vehicle, and to show how each vehicle performs in different environments. Also collect real-world data for these vehicles, helps build out a bigger picture about the characteristics, the strengths, and the weaknesses. By providing performance data for specific regions and use cases, it helps inform fleets make better decisions in those areas. The more vehicles that participate, the better information quality is for everyone. So the more vehicles we have, the better our data set is going to be. And we want to build that DOE Livewire database platform, which is hosted as a publicly accessible data set that, as I stated before, researchers could use to analyze how these vehicles are performing in the real world. Right now, we have 235 vehicles in the project. About 43% of those are Class 8 trucks, 18% make up school buses, about 15% are yard tractors, and the other 19% are Class 6 box trucks. Of these 235 vehicles, we have 109 vehicle data sets uploaded and ready to be used in the Livewire database platform. Total days of service is over 3,200 for these individual vehicles. And together we've already tracked 1.6 million miles, which totals to 2,765,000 kilowatts used. So that's basically an overview of the project. Right now, I'm going to go into showing you the dashboard that we have that is live right now on the DOE project page website for CalSTART. Back to showing you the CalSTART DOE project webpage. So this is the map currently showing where we have medium and heavy duty vehicles operating, where we're collecting data for the project. So we're vastly throughout the entire United States. And I'm going to move down here to where our dashboard is, where we're collecting the analytics, and where this is live, where it could be used by users who have an interest in seeing what how these vehicles are performing.
This is a great benefit to fleets right here.
Yes. So the dashboard is developed in Tableau. It will be available on this DOE project webpage or CalSTART DOE project webpage as a publicly accessible tool to explore a rich multitude of EV data collected through the project. It will allow decision makers and researchers to access learnings from real world, medium and heavy duty EV data and inform public policies, fleet operations, and industry development. So the color schemes reflects different vehicle types. So blue is for freight vehicles and orange, that's for passenger vehicles. The deeper the color, the heavier the vehicle. So these would be heavy duty, and the lighter the color would be medium, and then light duty, or lighter step van. Currently, the dashboard presents data collected from over 100 vehicles across the entire U.S., about 40 buses, 28 yard tractors, 19 heavy-duty trucks, and 16 medium-duty trucks and step vans. So the user can navigate through a number of tabs on the top, each focusing on one specific aspect. So for data collection overview, this is going to provide the timeline, geographic area, count of vehicles by platform, the different vocations, and also the different battery types. So on the second page for vehicle attributes, this is going to provide specs that the manufacturer publishes, such as the battery range, the battery capacity, also the maximum charge rate, and other things that may be included, such as towing capacity. And all of these can be filtered by the specific vehicle platform. So if I only want to see medium duty step vans, I could filter this list out and also see what regions those are operating in right now. So these are operating currently in the West Coast. So I'll move over to our vehicle duty cycle. This has a robust amount of information, such as the distance, daily distance driven, also the daily runtime, and the daily average speed. So these are box plots. In the middle right here would be the medium value of what all of these yard tractors have drove per day, their distance, distributed distance that they normally drive. So this would be at the trip level. Okay, and I'll move on. So let's look at our EV efficiency or energy efficiency by each segment. Each segment here, this shows the total energy consumption over the total distance. So this is broken out by each region. And if I want to look at a specific region, I could use the highlight to only see what the trend is for in the Midwest for the fleets that are being recorded. So these fleets are anonymized, and so Fleet 08 wouldn't specifically tie back to a known fleet. This would just be a fleet that we've collected data for in our data set.
Mm.
And let's go to the last tab. This is an interesting one. So this is showing us the median energy efficiency per mile over 1 year span, and also showing how the average daily temperature affects performance, where higher temperatures you may see different performance levels based off of the region. So this would be the average daily temperature, or the max average daily temperature for the Midwest, and this would be the Northeast. So as you see, depending on the max daily temperature, you're going to see different energy consumption rates across different months. This is giving you a better view right here. It's taking that energy consumption rate and showing the effects of temperature over a broad spectrum, going from extremely colder temperatures to very hot temperatures. And again, we could filter this out by the region. So this line right here would be the medium average daily temperature, and this is the median energy consumption rate for all of the Midwest data points.
Yeah, and I think that you know, and Joy, we could bring you back in here to talk a little bit about New York, because this section right here, this tab, the way the data is collected and then distributed, this project is addressing a major concern that I've been hearing, at least, you know, here in New York in the Northeast, which is, okay, we understand where the OEMs are, we understand where they're moving, we understand what the technology is. The question they relay is, but what about the climate testing? How do I know that if I operate my fleet mostly in the Northeast and the Midwest, how do I know that it is going to be able to operate properly, you know, during those winter months? How do I know that if it's out there and a snowstorm hits, it'll be able to make it back home? And it looks to me that this project is going to collect that data and make it available to any of those fleets, you know, to allay those concerns.
Yeah, and I just want to say this is really exciting. This is actually the first time that I've seen the dashboard up, and so it's really cool to see all of the data points that we've been collecting over the past couple of years all in one place, and really kind of get to see some of those trends and some of those gaps. And Zach, sort of what you alluded to were Empire Clean Cities. We were brought on to help recruit some data partners in the Northeast, specifically in New York. You might have seen on a smaller or on an earlier tab, there aren't as many fleet participants in the Northeast, which is a shame. And it could be in part that there aren't as many electric medium and heavy duty trucks out there in operation yet. And we can talk a little bit more about how, if you're interested in transitioning to an electric vehicle, we can help get you some funding for that. But you know, if you're listening and you are a fleet operator, or you work with one that is using electric medium and heavy duty vehicles, we'd love to have you as part of this study. It's a fairly simple process. There's a data sharing agreement that you sign, and as Mark mentioned, you know, all data that's collected, you know, from your existing vehicle data loggers, if you use telematics, or we can help set you up with some temporary loggers, and then the data from the charger. All of that is anonymous, and so it's aggregated into this larger data set, as you can see here. And so, nobody's going to say, oh, X fleet is operating differently, better or worse than Y fleet. There isn't any of that. So it just really goes to sort of help the greater good of advancing this technology. And another really cool thing about this project is, as we've all seen, there's been huge advancements in the past decade with electric, medium, heavy duty vehicles, but there hasn't been a data study this large, on a scale of both the number of fleets and the number of participating regions. And so I'm really excited to see the final results. And I think we're going to do maybe a part 2 where we dive a little bit deeper into some of this data. But again, if you're interested in participating, you have a medium or heavy duty electric vehicle that's operating in New York State or Northeast or really anywhere, please reach out to us. You can email me at joy, at empirecleancities.org, or be in touch with Zach or Mark directly. And one more thing that I'll just add, I know I'm talking incredibly fast, but I'm just excited. But you, as a fleet too, you'll also get sort of a customized version of this that sort of shows your fleet's information. And so while that's anonymous to the general public, you'll be able to compare your how your fleet looks compared to this national aggregated set, which can really help with sort of long-term planning and just seeing, how operations are different across the country. And that's interesting, I think, for anybody, but maybe in particular to fleets who have operations in various parts of the country.
Yeah, definitely. And you bring something up, which is another topic that I hear a lot about when we sit around with fleets and operators about some of these sustainable sustainable goals, and that is that the fleets generally hear it from customers, from employees, and from investors. What are you doing? What are you doing to clean up your operations? What are you doing to hit sustainability goals? We need to see that planning, and we need to see the data, which is, of course, right here in front of us, which CalSTART is collecting. So, I mean, I think even from that standpoint, where if you're a fleet and you're starting to get that pushback from any or all of those groups, then it probably makes sense for you to call up CalSTART, call up Empire Clean Cities or your closest clean city, and just say, hey, these are the concerns that we're hearing. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about this program, and let's talk about what we need to do to get involved in that. Joy, I do want to just quickly touch on, at least here in New York, some of those funding mechanisms for fleets to be able to purchase electric vehicles, if they're so inclined.
Sure. So there are a few different opportunities out there. On the federal level, there is the EPA DERA funding, the Diesel Emission Reduction Act, and so you can get a grant to help transition to replace some of your diesel, medium, heavy-duty vehicles, or even if you're a marine fleet, your marine engines as well, with a lower emission vehicle or engine, and that can be a variety of things, including electrification. And then in New York State, we have 2 great programs that have utilized some of the Volkswagen settlement funding as well as some CMAQ funding in the past. And those depend on where you are in the state. So if you're in an industrial business zone in New York City, then it's the New York Clean Trucks program operated by the New York City Department of Transportation. And if you're anywhere else in the state, then it's the New York Truck Voucher Incentive Program that's administered by NYSERDA, our state energy office, and also CalSTART and Empire Clean Cities work closely with them on a lot of education and outreach, as well as helping get answers to fleets. But both of those New York programs, both the voucher program and the Clean Trucks program, they'll provide a voucher to cover the incremental cost of a new battery electric vehicle. So that's the difference between the new battery electric version of the vehicle and its diesel equivalent. And there is some stipulation, or there's some eligibility requirements, including scrappage. And so in order to be eligible for this funding, you'll need to scrap the equivalent vehicle, diesel vehicle that has an engine model year of 2009 or older. And really the purpose of that is to make sure that, we're not just sort of passing the buck or moving that diesel vehicle to another location that might already be overburdened with diesel emissions, but we're just eliminating it entirely. If you drill a 3-inch hole through the engine block and make sure that that dirty diesel engine doesn't go in operation again. So I know that can be a little burdensome for fleets who turn over their vehicles more frequently, but I know that Zach, your team is working on some ways to connect fleets with other options.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you for that. And yes, any New York fleet interested in that, please contact us at trucktractortrailer.com because we do have solutions for you there. Before we wrap up, I do have just one quick, I'm going to try and phrase it as a question. It might actually be a statement, but I saw, Mark, a lot of the vehicles in the study that we were able to get signed up, a lot of these fleets have the yard tractors that are electric. And I found that fascinating because one thing I've been hearing a lot of is that the yard tractor is sort of a really good starting point for fleets to incorporate EVs into their operations, for various reasons. But it's nice to have some data on that. So just quickly, is that what you and your team have been seeing at CalStart? That a lot of these fleets, they kind of start out with the yard tractor and then they maybe move to medium and then maybe move to heavy. Is that sort of like the progression of things?
Yes, it depends on what type of operations or duty cycles that these fleets have. So some of the fleets are just transit authorities, and they only have transit buses. And then some fleets, they mainly have yard tractors that do their operations for shipping containers. But from what I hear, the yard tractors, their use case is spot on for owning an EV. So it's almost the best way to go.
I'm so glad to see that because that's what I've been hearing anecdotally, and it's always nice to have the data backing up the stories. Mark, Joy, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for all you do. As Joy alluded to, we are going to regroup here and come back with a second part to really dive into more of the data collection here. And also, as Joy said, that was the first time I saw any of this too, which is really cool and really exciting. So thank you both for joining us. The contact information is all below to make sure if anybody's interested, you could sign up, you can get in touch. And any closing statements here before we sign off?
No, Zach and Joy, it was great meeting with you today. Just wanted to let you know I did drop the link to our webpage in the chat. So if you wanted to share that at some point to our audience, that would be great. But yeah, it was great having this first part of our podcast. And yeah, I hope once we rejoin in the future, we'll have a lot more to discuss.
Yeah. Again, thanks so much for having us, and I'm excited for part 2. And please don't hesitate to reach out if we can help at any stage of your journey to clean transportation. Thank you.
Awesome. If you like the content you see, please subscribe, and we'll see you next time on stream.